On today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, New Year, same old us. But what should the Houston Texans leave in 2024? And we talk Pro Bowl, who got snubbed in the club.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, what's going on? Welcome to this episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. I'm your Texans football analyst and credential media member, John Hickman. On the other side of the screen, ready to talk to y'all, the man with the big smile and the even bigger hat. Also a big chain, Big Sarge, Brian, Big Sarge Bearfield. Thank you for making us
credential media member.
Credential media member.
Don't say that in 2025.
The Houston Texans, the Houston Rockets, everything professional out here in Houston. Thank you guys for making us your first listen of the day. You guys are a part of the Locked On Texans and Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today, we will be looking at Joe Mixon. Mixon recognition, good guy Joe. He got recognized for being one of the good guys for the media. So that's a great thing. Let's end off the show with that. Pro Bowl talk. Who was snubbed in the club? Sarge, I'm sorry. I can't wait to talk about that because I feel like for one of the better defensive teams in the NFL, two guys should have been on that list. We open up today's show looking at what the Houston Texans should leave in 2024, a New Year's theme segment and conversation. We weren't able to get to you guys on the first, but we're here now. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Big Sarge,
what's going on? Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Hey, old acquaintance.
A lot of people are in the gym.
A
lot of people are eating salads. A lot of people are changing up their diet. A lot of people are doing a lot of things differently. But for the Houston Texans, a team, and you guys may not see this if you're listening, I'm going to put this in the camera. Score more second half points is what I think they need to, be better in 2025 with. But for a team that has had their ups and downs, what should the Houston Texans as a team and organization leave in 2024?
First of all, John, I just want to say for the fans of yours who are watching us on the YouTube channel, on the Locked On Texans YouTube channel, John, your hair is amazing. Your hair is saying three things. Fabulous.
I put nothing in my hair but juices and berries.
So let your soul glow. John, I feel like one of the things that the Houston Texans need to leave in 2024 is their offensive inefficiencies. It's time to just totally, if I'm Bobby Slowick, what I'm doing is saying I'm taking the time out to prepare for the Tennessee Titans, of course, prepare for the playoffs, but I'm also going back and I'm looking at what plays just don't work. They keep a record of these plays that they run and the ones that work and the ones that don't work. And if I'm Bobby Slowick, I'm going to it. I'm like, okay, that doesn't work. We tried that 3 games in a row. It didn't work. We tried this. It didn't work. Okay, look, if we're going to run an RPO, we got to at least start practicing it on more than 1 week and more than 1 or 2 days if we plan on using the RPO. We got to get rid of, if we're going to run these bubble screens, we got to teach our wide receivers how to block and where to block. We got to make sure CJ throws the ball to Nico or to Hutch in a fashion on where he has to come back and up the field. So that is weird. But with what the Houston Texans need to leave in 2024 going into 2025, which is the playoffs here soon, they need to leave their offensive inefficiencies. They need to get this offensive line together, John, just like what you mentioned. They have to score more points, and not just in the second half. I just want them to score more points. I don't care when you score them.
Just get it done.
Right. They in 2025, John, they need an offensive outburst that will make fans and media members go, damn, where that's been.
Yeah, we can take this team seriously now. Kind of like a conversation we were having pre-recording. If the Houston Texans offense gave this team just 3 more points in a few of these games, 6 more points in a few of these games, just 1 touchdown, we're looking at a different team. We're looking at the narrative of this team being completely different because now in those close games, a lot of those close games, they were able to win early in the season. As the season went on, they started to lose some of those close games. But games like New York, games like Green Bay, games like Detroit, games like Kansas City, and I think the game just kind of got out of their hands quickly because of the injury. But if you just give us a little bit more, then we got y'all. I think the Houston Texans should leave behind in 2024 loyalty to mediocre productivity. Some of the guys in some of the positions, and SARS be fair, in training camp, we were thinking to ourselves, there's no way this player at this position is going to make it. This may be a position Houston looks to upgrade either before the trade deadline or once a lot of these players are cut from around the league. But I'm looking at a guy, this is no disrespect to his character at all as a person, just talking about on the field. I'm looking at a guy in a situation like a Jeff Okudah. I'm looking at a guy in a situation like maybe not upgrading, and he did a very good job in his role when he got on the field, but like a D'Angelo Ross. And whenever Houston had to lean on some of these guys due to circumstances, injuries, having to shuffle some of these guys around, it didn't always end out well for that player's personal productivity consistently. And for a guy like Jeff Okudah, we didn't necessarily see him a lot. So I also think that adds to the problem. And also loyalty to mediocre productivity, that can be used to maybe call in question how long will we see Bobby Slug a part of this Houston Texan coaching staff? How long will we see a Chris Strausser a part of this Houston Texan coaching staff? So this was a great year for Houston, by and large, I think, because no matter how you look at it, they still were able to build off of their expectations that they exceeded in year one under D'Amico, under CJ Stroud. They got to the playoffs, were able to win the division, and I think this was a good year for them to see we are not complete in the ways we thought we were. And a lot of the completions for the Houston Texans, they're complete on the defensive side of the ball for a good part. Like the front seven is a complete group with Christian Harris coming back. The secondary can be better. Offensive line can be better. And we love Joe Mixon. He's been everything the Houston Texans needed and wanted. But after that, guys like Damian Pierce, okay, how long will Houston kind of completely ignore the RB2 position because Joe Mixon is still getting up in age, is taking a lot of hits this year.
But you talking about still keeping Damian Pierce though, right? Not letting him go.
I don't know.
Hey, Damian Pierce is by far the best kick returner they have.
Absolutely. So with Damian, I'm glad you said that because I've been screaming this for a long time. Damian should be taking more kick returns. Tank Dell should have been taking more punt returns.
Yeah.
Two explosive, dynamic players once they get to the second and third level of the opposing teams, whatever they're trying to stop in defense or whatever, special teams. You can keep him. He's on a very friendly contract. But I don't think moving forward, I think Houston should absolutely look to upgrade their RB2 spot.
Sure.
And in that upgrade, okay, is this guy somebody we can look to keep around and be our future running back once we get past Joe Mixon and his era with the Houston Texans? But overall, just kind of checking themselves and understanding, hey, you know what? Loyalty was great for us in the beginning, but we got to take some things a little bit more seriously now.
Yeah, and I think that also, John, another thing that I feel like the Houston Texans should leave in 2024. And I like what I don't know what corporate slogan you said it was. What was it again? What was your corporate slogan? Meritocracy is the key to low production. What was it?
Loyalty to mediocrity. That's funny. Loyalty to mediocre productivity.
Yes, and so when I look at some of these players, John, when I look at it, I have a different opinion on that, and what I would like for them to leave in 2024 is, John, they have to be able to evaluate the talent just a little bit more. Now, to what you're saying, now I'm going to push back because some of these players were never supposed to be in the positions that they were. Eric Murray was not supposed to be a full-time starter, right? You were not supposed to get full-time start. Jeff Okudah was even healthy, wasn't supposed to be a full-time starter MJ Stewart was not supposed to be a full-time starter. These players are getting starter reps. What I meant by what I said by being able to evaluating talent more, they need to be able to evaluate talent more going into 2025, leaving that lack of it, is I need Nick to take everything that he saw from training camp to the end of the season, and when it comes to the offensive line, and say, I did a terrible job. And I want to be able to leave that in 2024, going into 2025. I want to solely focus on protecting my franchise quarterback with better interior offensive line play. And I need to do that, whether that be by in the draft, whether it be the free agency, however, trades, whatever, you have to get that in here, because you can't watch what has happened and say, oh yeah, we're good going into next season.
Absolutely. That's from a player standpoint and coaching standpoint. Also, to add to that, if I'm looking at guys that maybe Houston should leave in 2024 due to, mediocre productivity, I don't know how much longer Dalton Schultz may have with this team. So, yeah, let's leave it at that. But we also got to talk guys that will be in Houston Texans jersey, and will be in Houston Texans organization for a while. Pro Bowl talk. Couple snubs, however, got a lot to celebrate. Got some guys with their first time making the Pro Bowl. Overall, good opportunities for some young guys in the Houston Texans jerseys. So we got that on the other side of the Locked On Texan podcast. It's playoff time, and if you're like me, you want to make the most of these final weeks of football action. That's where Prize Picks comes in. If you love football and want a chance to win real money on watching football games while watching football games, Prize Picks is the best place for you. It's the best way to turn your sports opinions into cash with daily fantasy player projections. With Prize Picks, you simply pick more or less on player stats like total passing yards or rushing touchdowns for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds, and whether you're looking for a flex play to boost your payout or want to cash out quickly, PrizePicks has got you covered. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in winnings, it's clear people love this platform. Here's a special offer for Locked On NFL listeners. Download the app today and use code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's prizepicks.com. Use code Locked On NFL to win $50 after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, go to prizepicks.com right now. Run your game. Also, Texan listeners, just NFL fans in general, it's one of those hard times of the year. Your team may not be making the playoffs. You may have lost your fantasy league. But I want to let you guys know about BetterHelp. Today's show was sponsored by BetterHelp. What do you want your 2025 story to be? Every January brings a new chapter, 365 blank pages waiting for you to feel. If there's a part of you in your life you want to rewrite, or a plot twist you've been craving, why wait? Life isn't about fleeting resolutions. It's about taking control and becoming the author of your own story. Think of therapy as your personal editor, helping you craft the life you deserve. It's not just crisis situations. Therapy can help you develop healthier coping strategies, improve your relationships, and empower you to be the best version of yourself. Whether you're facing challenges in your life or just looking to grow personally, therapy is a powerful tool to help guide you through your journey. Whether it's learning how to set boundaries or tackling stress in new ways, therapy can help you develop skills for a better tomorrow. Even if you've never tried therapy before, the benefits are clear. Finding someone to talk to and gaining a fresh perspective can make all the difference in how you navigate through life's ups and downs. Write your story with BetterHelp. Don't let football stress you out too much, but write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get started and to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
Welcome back to the Locked On Texans podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see that John has this vainglorious this vainglorious hair on. Hey, what is that? Is that a number 9 or like a number 17? Like what number is that?
Don't worry about it, Pimp. Don't worry about it, Jack.
Once again, tuned to the Locked On Texas podcast. John, listen, the NFL decided to hand out some awards, right? Some awards on Thursday. And what I mean by awards, and I'm not talking about individual awards. What I'm talking about is accolades. They handed out their Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl nominations was handed out, and the people who made the Pro Bowl, who were selected to the Pro Bowl, was announced on Thursday. For the Houston Texans, you had offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, running back Joe Mixon, wide receiver Nico Collins, and cornerback Derek Stingley. Now, as the alternate, you have defensive end Will Anderson Jr., safety Jimmy Ward, quarterback CJ Stroud, defensive end Danielle Hunter, kicker Kaimi Fairbairn, and punter Tommy Townsend. John?
I thought Tommy should have got in on the first go round.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that he should have been an alternate. But John, when you look at the 4 players who did make it for the Houston Texans in Tunsil, Mixon, Collins, and Stingley, who else do you think should have joined them as far as being selected and not as an alternate?
Listen here, man. You got a duo. You got a duo of 2 edge rushers on the number 3, number 4, top 5 defense in the NFL that combined for almost 25 sacks. I think nearly 100 pressures, something along those lines. How in the hell does Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter not get in on the first go round? And I saw Max Crosby made it.
Yep.
I love Max Crosby in this game. I really do. But I don't think he's had a better year than either one of those guys. I don't think he's had as many game-wrecking moments as any of those guys, especially Will Anderson, who missed a couple of games. But I kind of was shocked that those 2 didn't make the Pro Bowl.
John, let me ask you this real quickly, because I could see I can make a case for why maybe Will didn't make it due to injury. And I mean, it was the one of the saddest days, John, for the Houston Texans organization this season is Will gets announced as AFC Defensive Player of the Month, and on that same day he gets hurt against the New York Jets on Halloween, as a matter of fact. And now he has to sit out the amount of games that he did, and he was on track to have a Pro Bowl. I made a case where he was having an all-pro season. But Danielle Hunter, who's done nothing but excel every game, he's gotten better. John, when you look at, we can leave out TJ Watt, we can leave out Myles Garrett. Let's push those 2 to the side. Do you think that Max Crosby got in because his name is Max Crosby?
I think so.
And that's why Danielle Hunter did not?
I think so. Yeah, Max Crosby has 7 sacks on the year. I think Danielle is at what, 12?
Yeah.
I think Will is at 11 and a half, something along those lines. I think Will has more tackles for loss.
Yeah, pressures.
More pressures. So I think the league looked around and were voters, and this is, based off whatever. But
hold on, John, let me make sure I got this right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but let me just go ahead. So it was because it was TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and Max Crosby, or was it Hendrickson?
I think it was TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and Max Crosby.
Okay. And so when you look at the sacks, right? When I'm looking at the sacks, Danielle Hunter has 12. You're correct, and Will Anderson, I think he has 11.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking at there's Myles Garrett, Hendrickson, TJ Watt made it as linebacker. Inside Chris Jones, Casey Hayward. Yeah, I think you look at that. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I thought those 2 guys did enough to represent the city of Houston from an edge rush position. Now, what I will say for the Pro Bowl alternates, we saw, you mentioned Jimmy Ward, Townsend, Danielle, of course, Will, of course, Kaimi Fairbairn, of course, CJ as an alternate. I was kind of shocked. I didn't think he was going to get that nod. Jimmy Ward as an alternate, I'm extremely shocked because if the case of missing time was the reason why for Will, I don't think Jimmy has done anything this year to be a Pro Bowler. And I also think, if we're being honest, Kamari deserves a lot more love than Jimmy in that regard. Same position, safety position, however you want to look at it. But Kamari should have, I think he's done enough to be a Pro Bowler this year compared to being an alternate, at least, with Jimmy Ward. I was kind of shocked on that one.
Yeah, and so but John, like I said, when I'm looking at the names, when I'm looking at Hendrickson, when I'm looking at Watt, when I'm looking at Myles Garrett, I'm saying to myself, it's hard though, John. It's hard to put Danielle Hunter in there when it's hard to put Danielle Hunter over any of these guys when they've had the amount of impact that they've had. Now, don't get me wrong. Danielle has been nothing but good to great over this season for the Houston Texans. And I think that if Hendrickson is not where he is as far as leading the league in sacks, if he's not tied for the lead in sacks, I think that you're looking at maybe Danielle Hunter does get that, because Hendrickson has 14 sacks, Myles Garrett has 14, and Danielle Hunter has 12. TJ Watt has 11 and a half. And so you have
tough competition.
That's the thing. I would have loved to have seen Danielle Hunter in there. But I don't think that he did enough to be able to jump those guys. And Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, they're going to be staples in this. You're going to have an astronomical type season. You're going to have what Will Anderson was on pace to do in the AFC in order to supplant TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. If you want those to replace, you're going to have to do something astronomical, and that's what Will was on pace to do. Danielle Hunter has had a very, very, very good season. He has had a Danielle Hunter type season. But when you're looking at the AFC, John, not only is Danielle Hunter a newcomer, it's a lot of name recognition. And I can't take anything away from Hendrickson from Cincinnati. But, TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, all they have to do, John, is have 8 sacks. And their names alone is going to get them put into that type of consideration. Now, all pro is going to be another thing that I think that Danielle Hunter is going to get snubbed for. But like I said, it's just hard, John. That's all.
I'm glad you said all pro, and also mentioning like those guys' names are just shoe-in basically, because I want to give some love and recognition to the guy that made his first Pro Bowl. Derek Stingley was an alternate last year, wasn't he?
Yes.
So he's an official, no alternate, got it straight up and down. Shout out to Sting. And I think this is the second step. The first step was having the season that he's had so far. CB1, CB2, he's no lower than 2. It's him and Patrick Surtain right now.
Yep.
This is the second step for him getting his recognition to his first all-pro nod. He is a guy that I think, as the Houston Texans continue to grow and they're able to continue to get some of those TV games, those national televised games, he will become more of a household name because of his play. Doesn't necessarily talk a lot. You're not going to get a lot out of him. So the personality isn't there. And with a player like that, the greatness got to be on the field, right?
Yep.
And we saw a lot of greatness out of Derek Stingley this year. So shout out to Stingley, man. Shout out to Stingley. Super, super proud and happy for him.
John, I'm gonna tell you, listen, Laremy Tunsil, hey, look, just he does what he does, no matter what people say about him. And it's funny, John, because at the beginning of the season, people wanted him traded, and then all of a sudden, it's just all that went away. The false starts went away, and all the other things that they were complaining about with his penalties just went away. And he did exactly what he always does. He becomes a Pro Bowl selected offensive tackle. Like, he is one of the best. Laremy Tunsil is one of the best tackles in the game. I don't care what anybody else says. Definitely when it comes to pass blocking, he protects CJ like no other. So shout out to Laremy Tunsil for. I think he's tied JJ Watt for the most Pro Bowl selections in franchise history. I think it's 5 for him.
5, yes.
Yeah, 5 for him. So shout out to him. But John, shout out to Joe Mixon for being selected as a Pro Bowler. I got to give some love to my guy Nico Collins, man.
Yeah.
I got to give some love to Nico Collins for being selected in the Pro Bowl, because here's a young man just 2 years ago, people wanted him off this roster. People didn't see the potential that he had. People kept saying that, oh, he has too many soft tissue injuries, he'll never amount to anything. And then the following year, they draft CJ Stroud, and then all of a sudden Nico starts to become a name. And then this year, coming into this year, before he had to go on injured reserve, he was leading the league in receiving yards, on his way to that All-Pro nod, being one of the best in the game, outside of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. He's like one of those guys that you have to account for. So for him to be selected as a Pro Bowler, man, I was happy to see him Thursday in the locker room, just smiling and happy, man, because he deserves that, because he's put in the work for it.
The Houston Texans guys, man, a lot of those guys are definite. Not gonna get a lot out of them, but they let their play talk on the field. And so, shout out to Nico, shout out to Sting, shout out to Larry Thompson. So I was kind of shocked with that, albeit the penalties and everything, but they got some good representatives in on the first go round and some good alternates as well. Joe Mixon, though, just not a Pro Bowl running back, and he's been that his whole career, it seems like. Joe Mixon also got recognized by the media with the Good Guy Award, so we'll talk about that to close out the show. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook, because right now new customers can finish the season with strong $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a dub. I love betting on which player is going to score first, or the over-under on how many points a team will score. It's thrilling, it's exciting, and it also lets me get from the couch into the game with a little bit more stakes on the line. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at winning $250 in bonus bets once you win your first $5 bet. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports partner of the NFL. Welcome back, guys. I like this hair. I may keep this hair. I may keep the hair. Big stars, Joe Mixon, 2025 Media Good Guy Award. Don't have much to say about it outside of, hey, listen, man, the Houston Texans were not in the best of light this year during the year. And so, that's a good moment. It's a happy moment. It's a moment for a running back on a new team to get some positive recognition. So shout out to Joe Mixon, who has been everything and more for this Houston Texan offense. At times, I look at Joe Mixon, as talented as he is, and I think to myself, it's kind of mind-boggling, that he's still this good late into his career. Made a lot of plays for the Houston Texans with those jump cuts, being able to pick up extra yards. I think he's deserving of it, so shout out to Joe.
Yep. Shout out to Joe Mixon for winning the 2024 Pro Football Writers Association Good Guy Award. And John, when we presented him the award on Thursday,
we presented him. Okay.
Yeah. When we
put a tidbit in there for those.
Yeah. For the credential media member, for real. Hard plastic. we present. We already talked about this. Look. We presented him the award, and it was so funny, John, because he was like, wait, the media giving me an award? Me. And so, so he opened it up, and then when he looked at it, he's like, oh, wait, this is a real award. It's like, he's like, oh, this real. He said, this is going up on, this going up in my house. And John, you could just tell that he was so surprised, because anybody who has followed Joe Mixon from his career, from college through Cincinnati to coming here, Joe Mixon and the media didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. There was some small, or I don't want to say small, there was some indiscrepancies in his past that he had to deal with. There were some things that Joe Mixon had to deal with coming out of college. There were some things he had to deal with in Cincinnati. But John, when he got to the Houston Texans, he has been nothing but fair to a lot of us in the media. Win, lose, or draw, you're going to be able to talk to Joe Mixon, and he's going to tell you, he's one of those guys going to tell you exactly how he feels. And, there's been times where he didn't want to talk. There's been times where he declined to talk because he wasn't ready to talk, but then he came back and he talked, with the media. And so he's one of those guys, John, that, the recognition that he received on Thursday, you could tell it just came from his words that he expressed to the media, man. You could tell they were heartfelt and he felt appreciated. And I mean, of course, it's on the same day that he, gets elected to the Pro Bowl. And, in his statement, he was like, I'm cool with this award, with the Pro Bowl, but our ultimate goal is the Super Bowl. I'm trying to get to the Super Bowl. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. But just to see him have that human moment of being appreciated, I think that's what caught him off guard, was the fact that he was being appreciated by an entity that he didn't think truly had his back until he got to Houston.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Houston Texans be good guys, and look out for Joe in another way. You know what, Joe? I know you're gonna be here next year. We'll get you a little bit better, some more guys up front that can allow you to not get hit in the backfield as much as you did your first year.
He said his Pro Bowl selection is a team award, John. He got to give it to the guys up front that helped him get it. He even shouted out Cade Stover.
Shout out to the professionals. That's what professionals do. How many jump cuts have we seen this year with Joe Mixon nearly getting tackled for loss?
Jump cut is part of being a running back, John. Okay. Barry Sanders did it all the time.
Shout out to Barry Sanders.
John, I need to get on the Locked On NFL with Tyler Madman Rowland, or with and go to the barbershop with Tony Wiggins. And the reason why I need to do that is because I need to talk about why I think that Nick Sirianni made the right decision in not playing Saquon Barkley.
Oh, well, make sure you guys listen to the Locked On NFL Now on YouTube with Tyler Rowland in the morning, Tony Wiggins in the afternoon. Also continue to listen to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Subscribe, like, and comment to the YouTube page, and tell a friend to do the same.
And make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Star Sports with the Z at the end.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2025. Peace.